What's up? How you doing? Here we are, Sunday, approaching evening. Nice day today. Mild out, but cloudy. We're expecting more rain any minute. So I got some boba time here. Nice tea with a bunch of lemon in there. Delicious. That's good stuff. Good tea. So we have something here. I don't know if you could see that, but the Batmobile from the classic TV series 1966, starring Adam West and Burt Ward. Big fan of this show. I know it's campy, I know it's corny, I know all of that, but I'm nostalgic. And when I was a kid, I'd watch this. There was a period where I was really into it, like everything about it. The mansion they lived in, the whole thing with the, who was that, Shakespeare's head, Mozart, Shakespeare, Beethoven, I don't know, they all look similar, but maybe it was Shakespeare. And they would pull the head down and then flick the little switch in there, and the bookcase would open up, and the poles, they were labeled. Why do you need to label that? You don't know which side you go on? I mean, you go down, you end up, when you're Robin, end up like Batman. But anyway, they would slide down the poles, they would go to commercial, and then they'd come back and they'd be coming down the pole in the Batman outfit and Robin outfit. They would be dressed instamatically. So, and then the Batcave, I was fascinated, this whole thing underground. And now, as an adult, I actually visit the Batcave, but it doesn't look the same as it does on television, because obviously that was a studio set, and the Batcave, the exit, was the only thing that was real. So cool show. I especially admired Batgirl. Batgirl was a hottie, but here's the thing that makes no sense from a realistic point of view. Batgirl was Commissioner Gordon's daughter. Now, how dense do you have to be not to be able to recognize your daughter's voice, or her outline, or her mannerisms? So she would talk to him, and he had no idea that that was his daughter. And you're the head of police, you're the police commissioner. Robert Scorpio, who was also police commissioner, but in Port Charles, would have identified her without even her having to make a sound. Would have said, "Oh, you're my daughter." But Commissioner Gordon has no idea. But then he's a moron, because when he calls Batman up on the red phone, and Bruce Wayne picks up because he's not in his outfit, and he says, "Hello, Commissioner," well, he knows automatically that that's Batman, even though it's the same voice. He doesn't say, "Wait a minute, you sound exactly like, you know, if it's Batman, you know, it would be like, you sound like Bruce Wayne." Got to get all these things correct. Never once said that to him. At least on Superman, a couple of times they said that Clark Kent resembled Superman with the glasses on. Even that was throwing him off. He had the glasses on, they couldn't tell that that was really Superman. Take the glasses off, all of a sudden it's Superman. The glasses are that much of a disguise. Anyway, but this one here, ridiculous. The daughter was tricking the father. So anyway, we'll open this up right now. Got a lot of tape here. Apparently, when you buy these things, you also have to have a screwdriver, because they screw them in. I mean, it's not like I'm returning this thing, but anyway, This nonsense. They got screws in here with platforms. What's the point of that? And these screws are for that, it's a perfect fit. For that one, it's too small. Batman. The Joker's heavy. I don't know what they made him out of, but he's heavy. Look at that. The Penguin. Played by Mickey from Rocky. Burgess Meredith. My whole life I've never met a Burgess. Never met a Burgess. And Robin's in the car. But I gotta switch this out. I gotta get a bigger one. I don't even think I have a bigger one. I mean, I have it, but it's inside, and I have to look for it. You know, now as a kid they didn't screw things in. You just open the box up, you tore it into 1,000 pieces, and the toy was inside. And you know what else they don't do anymore? Or at least I haven't noticed. In the old days, when you bought cereal, it had a prize inside, like Cracker Jacks. The only reason I would buy Cracker Jacks is because it had a little surprise. But now, the surprise in Cracker Jacks, not impressive. And cereals, I don't see anything in there. It's got some weight to it. So check that out. Look at that. Got Robin in there. In the back. Underneath. So pretty heavy. Big fan of this car. The doors open up. I wonder if he comes out now. He's stuck in there. He will not come out. But what a cool vehicle. Had the flame would come out the back. Let's say here, City of Industry, California. So I guess this, it's made in China, but I don't know why it says City of Industry underneath. Made in China. I don't know. It says California, but look at that. That's such a cool car. Really cool car. And the action figures. at that. They feel like they're made out of iron. And then yet, yeah, so I always wanted to have something like that in my house, meaning the bookcase, and then behind the bookcase was a secret room or something. But you have to build it yourself. You don't want to have it built by someone else, because then they know the secret. Or you buy a house that is like 100 years old, has that inside the house already, nobody knows about it except for you. The guy who built it died like 50 years ago, so you can't tell anybody. Dead men tell no tales. So if these guys, you can't put these guys in here, they don't bend. So Batman cannot drive this thing. Can't drive it. But what a cool car. Now, I've been to the Batcave dozens of times in the past, 12 years, maybe more than that. Wow, dozens. Oh, starting to rain. But this show had a lot of things that didn't make any sense. One being the voice recognition. Nobody on that show could recognize your voice unless they saw your face with it. If you had that voice with a different, like a mask on, nobody knew who you were. I know a lot of people that, I hear them talk, and if they were talking to me and I had my eyes closed, I still know it's them. And if they wore a mask in Halloween or something and I ran into them and they spoke, I would know it's them, even by the way they walk. And if I was the head of the entire police, which would mean that I have a lot of experience maybe with detective work, I'd know who Batman was. And why shouldn't the commissioner know who Batman is? Commissioner Gordon, But he had a hot daughter, Commissioner Gordon, and I think she was the Green Lady too, or the one on Star Trek. Good looking lady. So close the door. I wonder if the Duke boys had this car, if they would jump with it. There's another show where they should have had an episode where they brought the car to Cooter and fixed those doors. What's the point of jumping in and out like that? I know it's a race car, but it's not a race car on the show anymore. They should have gone to Cooter and said, hey, can you fix those doors, unweld them? Anyway, Cooter could do everything. So tonight, I'm going to cook pork. So I'm going to marinate it in a little bit. We'll see how bad the rain gets, whether I record that or not. I'm going to marinate and let it sit there for a bit, and then I'm going to cook it. I'm going to use fire. But yeah, this boba time, I highly recommend the tea there. I don't put the bobas. I hate the slimy stuff. I don't like that. I like it plain without the slime. There's my frog. So I'll be back when the day is new, and I'll have new ideas for you. Mr. Rogers. Alright, I'll be back before it gets crazy out here. Alright, I'm back. So we're going to do the pork. The pork is here, fresh. Keep it simple. Salt, pepper. Put a little oregano in there. And garlic. Since 1944, garlic. And my wife says these are too thick for her. Too thick. So I'm going to cut them with my Victorinox knife, my butcher knife, in half, lengthwise. I'm going to reduce the width, not the length. So I don't know. I mean, to me, they look like the right thickness, but so I'm going to salt the ones that I want to eat with everyone else, and then I'll cut them. What's up, how you doing? We're back. We're gonna cook some French fries, and we're gonna talk about a cup here that I have. If you can see that, I don't know, maybe there. So I've always been a fan of these cups. Why? Because my grandmother on my mother's side had the whole collection, the plates, the dishes, bowls. She had cups, but she had the whole, somebody gave it to her for a gift. And when we would go over her house for, I don't know, Christmas or something like that, the meal always came out in those dishes with this design. So when I see this, I remember her. Doesn't have a name though, so I don't know who made these, but like I said, she had the whole collection, and they're good looking cups. That's the size you want. You don't want to be too big on those, because then what happens is the hot gets room temperature, and then you're just sipping room temperature tea or coffee. Where the iced tea, this is iced tea, you put the ice in, it remains cold for a long time. So anyway, I'm a big fan of those. Highly recommend them. So we're gonna clean here the modern way. The old-fashioned way was with a knife. And since I'm living in the future, we're gonna use this. I always remember Beetle Bailey when I do this. Sometimes these things, when they're wet, a little bruising there I gotta get rid of. Sometimes these things, when they're wet, they feel like fish, trying to hold on a fish. I remember going fishing as a kid, and you'd get a fish and you had to get a good grip on that thing, and sometimes it would open up those pointy things on top. I don't know the terminology. And they would go into your hand. Then you drop them and they'd flap away. But I enjoyed fishing. But when we would go fishing, it was kind of like a secret mission, because the place that they discovered was trespassing on private property. I mean, we weren't on the guy's property, but we were at the beach that, I don't know, he owned. So we'd get in there like at 5 a.m. and we'd be out of there by 7. And it was always on a weekend, Saturday usually. We never got caught, you know, but there were others that would go there in the same spot, and they would be loud. I guess the old guy that owned the house, if he would see us there, a little rotting there, bruise. If he would see us there and we were quiet, fishing, you know, just whispering to each other, he wouldn't say anything. It wouldn't bother him. But if you were there yelling and, oh, I caught a fish, oh, big deal, you know, then he'd call the cops. cops would show up and kick you off the property. So we were very quiet. I grew up in a house where it was relatively quiet. We didn't have that loud talking that people have, you know, we didn't have that. So when my father went somewhere, it was quiet. You didn't hear him, he was stealthy, which is the way I like it. You know, nobody needs to know that you're there. Like, do what you have to do in quietness. People would go there, they'd catch a little fish, and they crap their pants. Not a fan of noisy people. Everybody's noisy once in a while, but I mean people that are noisy all the time. I may grab a couple more of these. I think I'll grab a couple more. The potato famine. Irish. I'll be back. Two more. That should be enough. I always imagine that I'm deep in the forest somewhere, and I mean deep in the forest, maybe 10 miles away from the nearest payphone, which is far. And I have with me potatoes, beef chuck, basically the ingredients to make beef stew. And I go up this mountain forest, set up my tent, light a little fire there. I have maybe a pot with me, and you know, a couple of onions, spices, things like that, whatever you need for beef stew. And I make beef stew up in this forest area. And then I would prefer that it started to snow. Rain is a bit messy, but I'll take the rain. And then I sit in my tent, and I wouldn't have a one-person tent, because when they say one person, that's basically for somebody who's like 4'2". So I would have like a 3-person tent, but it would just be me. And I'd cook my food and sit in the tent while the rain or snow is falling, and I'm eating this nice meal, and it's nice and cozy. I have a nice sleeping bag that's rated for, you know, -20 Fahrenheit. And I'm enjoying myself. But it's tough to find the time where you're able to do that. Because if you go and everybody's wondering, where is he? Where'd he go? What happened? You know? Alright, get rid of these peels. Saw a guy one time on YouTube, he was trying to act like he's the guy that uses everything. He's like, I don't know what to do with these, so I have to throw them out. I wish I had an idea what to do with these. It's like, stop being ridiculous. What are you going to do with them? I plant them, and then I get new potatoes next year. Nice cut. So that's it. I guess you have to go real quickly. Alright, that's it. Fries are in a big container with ice cold water and salt. So I'm going to let them sit there for an hour or so. And I'm going to fry them up. And it's raining, but I'm going to grill the pork chops, pork loin chops, whatever. And then we eat. I like the rain. So that's the end of the video. As you were.